Hey everyone, welcome to our DevOps office hours. It's April 19th, 2023. My name's Eric Osterman, and I'll be your host today. I'm the founder and CEO of Cloud Posse. We empower companies to conquer AWS using our rock-solid Terraform blueprints. We're so confident in our results, we offer a money-back guarantee. Whether you're starting from scratch or just not satisfied with your current setup, head over to cloudposse.com/quiz. Again, cloudposse.com/quiz to book a session with me directly, and I'll show you what your AWS future can look like. It's pretty amazing. If you're new here, don't worry. Our format's super informal. My goal is to get your questions answered. If you're curious about Cloud Posse or any of our open source resources, tools, modules, and so forth, this is a great place to ask. For those of you joining us from our podcast or YouTube channel, you can register for these live and interactive sessions by heading over to cloudposse.com/officehours. Again, that's cloudposse.com/officehours. Our call today is recorded. We'll be posting a recording of our session today to our YouTube channel. So if you want to support what we do over here, please hit those like and subscribe buttons. It helps us out a great deal. Just go to youtube.com/cloudposse. Again, youtube.com/cloudposse. So with that said, jumping into announcements, got a lot on the list here. A lot of internal Cloud Posse announcements, actually. So the first one here is that we have gotten around to finishing our AWS Amplify app Terraform module. Amplify is a great solution for simpler application deployments, fully baked in with CICD and preview environments and so forth. Amplify has been around for a while, but since we predominantly focus on ECS and EKS, it's taken us a while for us to prioritize this module. All right. Then the other announcement. This was a tool that we came across. We're looking to revamp our strategy for ECS deployments a little bit. This has been something we've been thinking about for a long time. We've re-implemented more than a dozen times how we do ECS deployments for customers because we still struggle to find the right balance of flexibility and control we get with Terraform and speed of deployment that we want in our GitHub Actions, for example. So prior to ECS Espresso, what we came across or what we've been implementing is basically a Terraform-centric way of doing ECS deployments. We use CI to build all the artifacts like Docker images, push those to ECR or Docker Hub or wherever those belong. And we then trigger our CD system. In this case, it might be Spacelift. We trigger CD then to redeploy the ECS service that's in scope. It reads the current image tag and any other settings from SSM and then redeploys it. What's beautiful about this is that pretty much any change you want to make as part of that pull request to deploy your apps can happen at the same time. The downside is Terraform planning all the resources for an ECS service. I mean, that can take 2 minutes at this point. There's so many resources to manage an ECS service that it's cumbersome. So what do a lot of people do? Well, there are a few major patterns. There's like a tool called ECS Deploy. There's an official GitHub action by AWS to do ECS deployments, manipulating the task definition. There's probably 24 of these different tools. Some people update it with CloudFormation. Well, ECS Espresso is an alternative yet to that. It provides a GitHub action, but first and foremost, it is a Go-based CLI. It has a manifest that you can define your configuration in. That's simple like this. It supports JSONet for coding your task definition, so you have full control over how that task definition works. It has plugin support, so it can read Terraform state for you. It can read from SSM as well. It can read from CloudFormation, SSM, like I said, and you can write your own plugin. So it's pretty powerful on the plugin side. The other thing that's cool about it is it kind of bridges that gap if you're used to using Kubernetes and kubectl. I'm not saying it's a replacement for that for ECS, but let me get to the point I wanted to highlight here. Yeah, well documented, as you can see, based on how much I was scrolling there. But the number of commands it supports, including the ability to run tasks, which is really nice. No nice way to run tasks from Terraform. We always suffered with that. You can do hacks with local exec, but those are just hacks at best because tasks are stateless. So if we use this to trigger those, that's a nice thing. The other thing we can do is exec into containers or exec commands on containers. That's very nice if you come from the Kubernetes background. Now, there are CLIs that do all of this, and you can probably do a lot of that with the AWS CLI, but I don't need to say more about that because the AWS CLI is powerful, but not user-friendly, not purpose-built like a tool like this. Showing the list of your revisions, rolling back a service, scaling it, waiting for it to complete. Another nice thing you want to have when you're doing synchronous pipelines in your CD. So maybe after the deployment, you want to do a migration or something. Anyone come across this tool before? All right. So yeah, we'll be updating our strategy, I think, to take advantage of this. Premature announcement, to be clear, but I'm very excited about it. So the next set of announcements relates to something we are working on at Cloud Posse. Since a lot of you are consumers of our modules, I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention. So one of the challenges we've had for a long time, like if I take our EKS cluster module, we're at a 2.0 release for this, but maintaining patches and bug fixes for other releases is not super straightforward for contributors. It was only recently that we started doing full Semver. Previously, for about 5-6 years, we were stuck on V0, which is a escape hatch of Semver that a lot of people don't realize. When you're on V0, you can do whatever you want. You don't have to create new major releases. Every minor release can be a breaking release on V0. But when you get to V1, V2, etc., things get serious. Now you got to maintain stability if you want to honor the contract of Semver. So what we are doing on our entire ecosystem of Terraform modules, I think it's almost 200 and counting, is adding release tags. Now, this hasn't gone out yet to all of our modules. This is more like a introduction to what we are doing. We're going to have a branch for every major release. So let's see here. Oops. Here we go. I think this will have an example of it. So these pretty styled release branches here. So we will always be treating the main branch as the current major release. But when we cut a new major release, then we need to create a new branch off of the last major release. So we have an easy way to accept pull request contributions targeting any other past release for patches, bug fixes, and so forth. Most organizations do this probably manually. When you have hundreds of repositories, that's not scalable. We also need to have branch protections on all these because it's like having multiple main branches. And it's been a big effort to think about how this has to work and everything else that has to go coincide with this. So what we're announcing here are a few new GitHub actions that implement this strategy. The first one is a release label validator. So to implement all of our Semver stuff at Cloud Posse, we rely on Release Drafter. This is an awesome GitHub action. It's the most popular one of its kind in the marketplace, almost 3,000 stars. And with the release drafter, you can reduce the effort of implementing Semver. So all you have to do is label your pull requests, whether it's major, minor, patch, hotfix, or whatever your scheme is. You can come up with whatever label format you want, but we're staying pretty mainstream on that. So our release label validator, what this is doing is making sure that the major label cannot be leveraged in any release branch. You cannot create major releases off release branch. That would not make sense. You can only do off the main branch. So very simple, small action. But if you're interested in implementing, serious release management strategy with Semver, this could be up your alley. The next thing we're implementing is this thing called the Release Branch Manager. This is a GitHub action that, let's see here. Oops, this is the pull request should be merged today. So another fly by the seat of your pants announcement. But the Release Branch Manager is responsible for actually creating all those release branches. So the Release Branch Manager is very simple to implement and execute. You just run it. Every time a release is published, it will decide if more release branches need to be created from previous releases, since we're there's a new label release. And then the last action that we're adding as part of this is a major release tagger. This is the idea where, when you're practicing Semver, you have all of these different versions, and sometimes the software you are using doesn't make it easy to pin to like a major release. So you are tolerant of all the minor releases and hotfixes. You just want to stay on the V1 release. How do you do that in a simple way? Well, the convention that's been popularized by a lot of languages and frameworks adopted by GitHub is that you just add like a V1 tag or a V2 tag or a V3 tag. So this GitHub action makes it very easy to implement this strategy. Simply add it to the repository. When a release is published, it determines if the pointer to the latest tag needs to be moved for that major release. Cool. So that's all I have on that. Any questions? Oops, I see we have a markdown issue here. Matt, can you point that out to Zenobi so I don't forget? I was gonna say, anybody have any questions on our release tagging strategy, why we're doing it this way, or any other suggestions?
In addition to the branches, are you still going to be tagging those versions on the main branch?
Yeah, so the main branch will always there will always be tags or GitHub releases pointing to commits in the main branch for the current major release. So let's say we are on V3. Every V3 minor or patch release will be pointed to some commit respective to the main branch.
Gotcha.
And to be clear, this is kind of, following along with a trunk-based approach that we have adopted here. There are other strategies. You could actually just at this point get rid of the main branch. It almost serves no purpose. You could always just have release branches. We decided against that because that would be too radical of a change, given that we follow the trunk-based model.
Yeah, I'm a big trunk-based guy also. So when I saw the branches, I'm thinking like, what about main?
Yeah. So main is still first-class citizen in this. We're not moving away from that. We just wanted to make it very easy for third-party outside collaborators to open pull requests against any release to fix some bugs. To be clear, this is not a commitment that we are going to be backporting features, that we are going to be maintaining every branch. We are pretty much, as a small company, committed to maintaining main. And every other release branch, we want to make sure that the community of users that we have, which numbers in the tens of thousands, is able to contribute. All right. Those three. All right. So then just some other little trivial announcements that caught my attention. This one most recently, I think it was on Hacker News or something. I really want to ask more questions of our data or anything, leveraging the convenience of something like ChatGPT. So I haven't had a chance to kick the tires on this, but I really love the idea. So if there's any academic papers you're working on, any ebooks as a PDF you can now interact with those in a ChatGPT-like way. I'm curious if there are limits on like the size of those PDFs. The other,
I'm sure. Oh, I was gonna say, I'm sure it's doing the same thing that I was talking about last week. I'm sure it's generating embeddings basically for the PDFs, and then it's using those embeddings to search over it or to ask questions over it.
Yeah. I'm also related to this. I'm curious. Oh, nice. So they are exposing. Oh, yeah. If you have interest in using it as an API, they want to hear from you. I was thinking about that too, because PDF is a pretty, portable format. So if you can get something into PDF form, and then this service makes it very easy to interact with it, I kind of like that idea as a stopgap to quickly be able to interrogate our data.
And I guess for now, you should assume that any data, any PDF you put in there should not have any maybe or anything like that.
yeah, exactly. Maybe don't put your, if you're a publicly traded company, maybe don't put your quarterly reports in there. Or otherwise.
Well, at least not until after they're released.
Good point.
Exactly.
When it comes to internal documents, and I think that for now, I'm sure there are companies that are trying to figure out how to do this as a SaaS, but I think for right now, the major way to do it is to just either embrace, Azure, or AWS is coming up with offerings with their AWS Titan, and their I always forget their name. It starts with a B. They recently announced AWS B something boxcar or something like that, or ground plane or something along those lines. But some service to permit
Bedrock.
Thank you, Bedrock.
Yeah.
To start to get into the fray. But I think Azure has an early lead on this one.
Yeah, and then in the meantime, don't give any thoughts to storing all of your documents on Google Docs and Slack and ... that are clearly not running any machine learning or anything on any of the data that's in there.
That's an interesting. I never thought of that. The enormous trove of data they have that they could be using for training.
The other interesting side note I thought about this the other day is Google probably knows every customer of ChatGPT, and they're about to try to ramp up really strongly and be their competitor, because ChatGPT's major way of logging in is with Google authentication.
Good point. Yeah.
I'm sure there are solid firewalls between all of those things at Google, but I don't know.
Yeah, competition. Matt, did you push your product to production yet? Joking. How's your research going?
It has progressed 0% in the last week. It was a busy week.
Just wanted to check. That's good. We kept you busy this week. All right, so on the ChatGPT bandwagon here. Next one, Atlassian has created a private preview of an AI assistant that lets you operate more efficiently when using tools Jira and Confluence. They have a little screenshot here, kind of helping you change the tone of your comment. I kind of like this, some engineers are, little rough around the edges, a little curt maybe, when, posting replies and responses. This might help lighten those responses and keep things friendly. So now that's not all of this, but
I actually tried this and I asked it how to most efficiently configure Jira, and that was like 4 days ago. I'm still waiting for a response.
I thought you were saying, and it linked me to a Jira issue opened in 2018.
Yeah. Yeah.
Future request.
It's still
gathering interest.
It's used 576 hours of trying to calculate an answer to that question.
All right. Somebody posted in the chat, as a former Jira admin, I've actually been asked by managers to edit Jira audit logs to remove comments more than once. Yeah. And yeah, Jim comments on how, Linus Torvald could benefit from this. Or he's just saying, yeah, there should be a tone of Linus Torvald, which would be the opposite of what I just said. All right.
Please comment in the style of Elon Musk on this poll request. I'm going to start trying that from now on. That's going to be fun.
Yeah.
Good one. All right, the next one here is an interesting post. I got this from Anton's weekly newsletter. A automated way of kind of a curious kind of way or creative way of implementing CD for secrets that gave me some pause, and I'm kind of curious on what people's thoughts are. As it's implemented, I don't think I like it, but the concept I thought was interesting. So one of the problems with secrets management is, how do you make it easy for end users and developers to do that? Now, this is a popular category. There's, I think, at least 3 or 4 different tools out there that are cross-platform secrets managers, like UIs, that help you push secrets to SSM, ASM, Vault, etc. They're a layer on top of that. Some of them are commercial, some of them are open source. That's probably the better way to go. But let's entertain this idea for a moment of a poor man's secrets manager UX using GitHub Actions. And that's what this is. So imagine if, you give developers the ability to update or add secrets in GitHub. So there's like this, change firewall in the sense that, developers don't have access to AWS or any of those things. To do a deployment, it would still have to go through GitHub Action protocols, approval gates, environment permissions, whatever, to do those deployments. But then you can have the GitHub Action actually update the secret store. Now, what I didn't like about this solution was that it is using Terraform, and this is coming from a Terraformer. So it seems like jumping through these hoops to get things into ASM, but we're still just storing them in clear text within the, obviously encrypted at rest Terraform state backend. I don't know. I'd feel better, I think, if it was just straight from holy attack surface Batman, says Jim Park. Yeah. This is probably not the most secure solution, and lots of ways these secrets are leaking out, but it is a way to promote them. So a variation of this that we've seen implemented is you use something like SOP secrets instead. So those are KMS encrypted. You have to have AWS credentials still to access the KMS key. And then those can go out with your software delivery pipeline. Yeah. Any other thoughts or criticisms?
I will note, aside from the attack service comment, like, I guess it is a balancing act between developer experience and attack surface. I just wish they didn't use Terraform.
Yeah, same.
Plain text secrets.
Yeah. And it would be simple enough just to use the AWS CLI to update those, or some other utility.
Actually, I was just thinking of something along those lines, that it would be interesting if you had a little utility that had encrypt only rights on KMS. So you could basically say, like, create me an encrypted secret, and you'd pass in the plain text like on the command line, and then you could commit the encrypted like string to Git, push the repo, and then actually have like something inside AWS trigger and like copy it into Secrets Manager, essentially.
Yeah.
Along
That
those
is-
lines,
Top secrets though.
the thing I've always wanted was something like 1Password to have a toggle for syncing into an AWS account secret manager.
That would be interesting, but that would also erode their business, I bet, or some of it.
You think? Make it too easy to export or something? But
Yeah,
I think you could solidify their role as being the single source of truth, because it wouldn't have to be limited to this. It could be, any one of these storage systems. Also, I think it would make a lot of sense given the trajectory of HashiCorp Vault in trying to become that system of record and pushing secrets out to SSM and ASM and Kubernetes secrets and so forth. So. I'm just curious if there was any first page results on that.
for what it's worth, I've often not found what I'm looking for when I search for ASM versus like AWS Secrets Manager,
Oh, okay.
like fully written out.
Yeah. Read that. All right. The next one was also through Weekly TF. It was a recursive repository tester powered by Terratest. So I guess an easier way to run mass test coverage executions over a repository and then export those results. That'd be kind of cool for Terraform AWS components.
I just want to point out that there's an idiomatic way to do this with Go that doesn't require any third-party things, and then you can just pipe it to the test reporter and get the same output. But this is doing more than just that, though. I think it's actually like validating things with, because it's using like TerraGrunt things under the hood.
Is it using TerraGrunt or Terratest?
I think both.
Oh, there it says supports Terraform and TerraGrunt. Yeah. Okay. All right. Last minor announcement I had was EFS triples the max throughput of reads by 3x. And increases the write throughput to 3 gigabytes per second. Any other announcements catch your eyes this week? Everyone, open mic.
Lambda Python 3.10.
That was AWS Lambda announced that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I got less excited about those kind of announcements now that you can create your own Lambda images at any point and use them.
Does Lambda support cross-account ECR?
I don't know. I haven't looked recently.
Yeah, that was the annoying thing. I really wish you could just run a Docker image from anywhere.
Does it require the ECR image to be in the same region?
Same region,
Yeah.
same account.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
thought so.
Yeah. At
It
least-
did. We
yeah.
we're speculating maybe they fixed that before, but I'm sure it has something to do with like cold start latency, like that they do it that way. But
Hmm.
um,
Oh, but then we can
I'm not
just
sure.
CCR pull through. Oh, wait, it doesn't support anything.
Right. Yeah.
I'm really annoyed.
They could definitely do better on that.
I really don't understand. It would be like an ATM machine for them. Why don't they let customers just have pull through cash and whatever they want? Why do they only support 2 public repositories, of which Docker Hub is not one of them? All right. All the
Although,
oh, sorry.
Didn't they create their own mirror of Docker Hub though? So maybe you can
They
pull from
did,
there.
but it's a public, they did, but it's only mainstream images basically in Docker Hub.
Yeah, got it.
And no private images and so forth, of course. All right, well, that's all the announcements I had. Let's jump into Q&A. Yeah, Andrew, we'd brought up Dagger before. I think Dagger, what is that? That's the another Terraform Cloud alternative.
No, it's OCI based CICD
Okay.
runways for the developers who like to use pragmatically programmed CICDs.
Hmm.
So it's like completely OCI based. The Open Container Initiative, essentially certified runtimes and containers.
What does it'd be interesting? I always like to start just seeing what an example looks like.
And my notifications for Reddit was screaming at me about this post. So
I know what you mean.
Yeah, I think when I mentioned them a couple of weeks ago, one of the maintainers of the project reached out to me about doing a call so he could give me a little bit more info on it and show me some other things. I just haven't gotten that scheduled yet, but I'm planning to do so to learn a little bit more.
Yeah, that's interesting. All right. Moving on then to talking points. First question was from Alex Atkinson. Let me open that one up. All right. This was a longer one. Might need you, Alex, to unpack it for us. You say compliance has been around for a while, but still see folks thinking that they can agreement away the personal rights of their data subjects. As far as I know, regulations are pretty straightforward. You collect protected data, you're subject to the related laws, regardless of whether your product is beta. This article from Instabug suggests otherwise with statements like the developer disclaims any liability for data loss damages and testing is the only purpose behind using the application and the developer disclaims any liability for data loss damage and so forth. Is there a resource such as a guide that someone knows about that specifically kneecaps this line of thought? As far as I'm concerned, this shouldn't need such elaboration, but people, unless I'm 100% wrong, you can easily skirt data protection regulations, but if that's the case, why is compliance and InfoSec $1 billion industry? So I'm pretty sure this isn't the case. So any musings on this one?
People will often assert things that are not in alignment with laws. It's like when you go to a parking lot and the parking lot says, you know, owner assumes all risk of parking here and parking lot's not responsible for any damages,
Yeah.
et cetera on their ticket. Well, that's actually not true. So like, you know, there are things that they certainly cannot be liable for, but if something in their negligence like leads to your loss, they're still they're still responsible for it. Like it has nothing, even if they have a disclaimer
Yeah.
saying they're not responsible for it. So I think it, you know, it seems crazy to me that that you can just disclaim all that stuff. But yeah, people still try.
Yeah, state, federal, et cetera, laws, trump whatever you put in your contract. That's why some contracts, they provided that they do not, I forget the language exactly, but provided it does not, you know, go against whatever, you know, jurisdiction.
That's why they actually have like each clause of a contract is generally said, like they say that each clause is still enforceable, even if another clause is found not to be enforceable. So you basically have to pick apart like each little thing that you want to chip away to nullify the whole contract. It's kind of like a crazy way to do it.
Good point. Alex, does that answer your question?
Yeah, that's what I thought, but I would still just like a website to point dumb people at that just says, you're dumb, stop arguing. This is the way it is. I'm just tired of having this argument with people who are inconvenienced by the reality of protected data laws. So.
Yeah. It's we want everyone else to take responsibility except for ourselves.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe I just have to find more aware people to work with.
Yeah, might not be an effective business approach, but you know,
Yeah,
on a personal level.
on a personal level.
All right. So let's open it up. Any other questions we can get to today?
Can we report very, very simple bugs or no?
Very, very simple. What was that?
Bugs, like code issues in one of the modules.
We can try. We try and keep it pretty high level because we can lose a lot of people on the call if we go.
Oh, no worry. This is like a 200,000 foot level. It's in the stratosphere.
Okay, yeah, go for it then.
In the Terraform Elasticsearch module, you cannot create a cluster for only one availability zone.
Oh, actually, I don't think that's I don't know if that's a Cloud Posse limitation. I think that's an AWS limitation that it has to be in at least 2 AZs.
Nope.
No?
No, I'm running one right now, one AZ.
All right. Yeah, a PR for that would be welcome to address that. If that's the case, just post it in the PR reviews channel, and that's where we get to. And that's a good just public service announcement. We are, you know, overwhelmed, dwarfed with pull requests and so forth. We do prioritize the pull requests from the community, especially if you post them in this magical channel. That's where our PM is watching and helping us get reviews on those things.
All right, PR is already up, so I can drop it in after I join the channel. Or
exactly. Yeah, and that goes for anyone here. So just use that escape hatch. All right. Yeah. Any other questions?
I have a question if there's time.
Yeah.
Like if you have like a really, really simple application you're prototyping, say just one container, and what have you found is the easiest way to just deploy that and make it accessible?
Definitely deploy
CS
your
plus
own
Fargate,
Kubernetes cluster. Okay.
What's that?
I said definitely deploy your own Kubernetes cluster
On AWS. Do not even consider Google or Azure. You know. Yeah, joking. That's where App Runner or Amplify come in. Those are probably the easiest way to run containers on AWS, assuming you're asking about AWS.
Yeah, I think that would be my first choice right now. Yeah, Amplify, that's interesting, and App Runner. Okay, so not ECS plus Fargate.
Yes and no. I think you can get a pretty good experience, provided you're not using Terraform. Qualifying on easiest here. I just don't remember what the ECS, Cly, Heroku like experience. There was a project out of AWS Labs that implemented a very pleasant ECS experience. Okay, I think it's this Fargate Cly. I used to be called something else before. And it was started 6 years ago. It got life again and it died again. So yeah, I don't think that you have really any options then these days for that.
Oh. What about the replacement though, the Copilot CLI?
Hmm. Built on App Runner, EC. Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's really
And that's definitely actively maintained.
right.
interesting.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, I'll check that one out. Thanks.
What was the issue with Fargate and Terraform?
Well, I mean, the operative word here was easy, and to start using Terraform, okay, you need a state backend, you need to have your IAM architecture, you need to have the Terraform modules. When you use the Terraform, it's going to be creating hundreds of resources that are managed by it. How are you going to do CI? How are you going to do CD? It is not trivial to do Terraform.
Gotcha.
But yeah, if you're an organization with a very mature Terraform implementation, how you're doing it, you worked with Cloud Posse, yeah, no problem. But
Sorry, did you specify, you said the easiest way to run a container on an application. Did you specify on AWS or no?
And I did not know, but
Yeah, because
it was, yeah, I should have, because
okay,
Yeah.
yeah, because
assumption.
there are some other options like not on AWS that are pretty simple. Like, you know, you can, like, Heroku still exists and it's just not free anymore. Like that's real easy to deploy a container to. Not
Right.
not Vercel. Vercel, no
You can't do it?
containers there.
No containers on
No,
Vercel?
you have to. No, you gotta build like and deploy the assets because they run everything in edge functions basically that cache it on their edge. Yeah, and I was gonna say then you have Google Cloud has real easy way to do that too.
Mhm. We've heard good things from customers using the App Runner, who are not sophisticated at all on CICD, but they were blown away with just how easy it was, and their developers love it, and they get preview environments and, you know, distinct URLs for every pull request. So
Interesting. Thanks, good to know.
Mhm. All right. Any more questions today? Questions. All right, announcements. Nothing. Well, in that case, maybe we end things early today. Hold on, let's just see what's going on in the Terraform channel. See if there's anything we can help with. So yeah, if you are using a lot of Cloud Posse's modules, one thing you might not be aware of is we publish all of our root modules that are what we call components. Root modules are available here. And this is how we use our modules. So if you want to see kind of how the creator thought of it. So that person was asking a question about this component that we have here. And then in our Slack community, we have channels for RefArch, which is what we call our reference architecture. If you are using any of our components, this is the best place to ask. And then we also have Atmos tools, and then the Slack channel for that is just Atmos in our Slack as well. So if you have questions here, feel free to ask. All right. Well, no other questions, no other announcements. We'll end it early. Have a great rest of your week, everyone. Enjoyed the conversation as usual. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. It helps us out a great deal. Go to youtube.com/cloudposse. Again, youtube.com/cloudposse. Connect with me on LinkedIn. Go to linkedin.com/in/Osterman and reach out. We also syndicate all of our office hours as a podcast. It's available wherever you listen to podcasts. Cloud Posse's office hours, you can register for those at cloudposse.com/office hours. And yeah, if you want to work with us, go to cloudposse.com/quiz. We'll answer a few quick questions. You'll get a chance to book a meeting with me directly, and we'll go over your situation and see if we're a fit for the help you need at this time. Take care, everyone. Have a great rest of your week.
Have a good one, folks.
Same to you. Bye-bye.